What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the After Bedtime Podcast. This is like round 2, round 3 with the man, the myth, the legend, CJ Stay Blessed Hayes. We are here again, going to Las Vegas, visiting this amazing father. And he has a new venture that he just started. That's something that's really special that I'm excited for him to share about. So without further ado, introduce CJ. CJ, say what's up to the people.
What's going on? CJ Hayes, Las Vegas, Nevada, like Jeremy said. Happy to be on here again because I like talking to you, bro.
Yeah, no, likewise, bro. I mean, for y'all that don't know, like I've known CJ since I was like probably like 4 or 5 years old. And we've stayed connected throughout me living in a different state. And like all these things throughout all the years now. So it's just been amazing to be able to see you, become the man that you are and the father that you are. And I know you came from such like a good upbringing, like you have great parents, and it's just amazing to see you kind of like stepping into it, and now you're double what they're doing. You got
Here
4,
we go.
no, you got 3 kids now. You got 3
Yeah,
kids now. We were talking off air about possibly like a number 4, but that's not really
yeah,
actually happening. So like
right.
just not yet. So, uh, but like I mean, you're just doing amazing things, and like you just have the Vibe Studio, which you guys can check out that episode where we talked about that. But then we have his garments and what he's doing with that. It's how do you have the time, man? Like where's all this time? What are you doing? How are you doing this?
Be trying to find pockets, man. Like you got your father hat, you got your career hat, then you got like your passion hat, and then you got to be husband hat. Like it's a lot, but I think the biggest thing is like finding those pockets of time, and really communicating and saying like, hey, this is what I want to do. And just like me and you were talking, like I've always been into clothes, I've always been into fashion, but it's always had to be on the back burner of things. And I originally was going to do a clothing line called Twice as Hard. It was like we got to work twice as hard for half as much, but it was going to be like this victor and victim thing. And I'm like, that's not really it. And then, my faith has always been through and through since we've been, growing up in the church. That's something that we know, like the back of our hand. Not a lot of people are really blessed to, grow up in youth and grow up in church and go away from the church and come back to the church. And that faith has always just been my foundation. So it was only right to do a clothing line that was around faith.
So his garments is the clothing line. It
Mm-hmm.
is religious based. It is a Christian based streetwear brand. Um, you've always been fly. That's something that I always have. I actually have another podcast with one of my friends, which I'd love to introduce you to. He has a clothing line as well. It's like streetwear, called Shoe. Shout out to Shoe. But his garments kind of takes its own angle. But the same kind of questions that I was asking him is kind of what I want to talk to you about. Is like since I've known you, you've always been very well dressed, very well put together. Where did that come from? Was that instilled in you from your parents, or was that something that like you just grew an attraction to, like with like fashion and clothing, or like talk a little bit about like where that came from?
I feel like it started like when I was younger. My mom was a avid Dillard's, Mervyn's, TJ Maxx, Ross lady. So,
Mervin's.
right, she was always getting. So I was like getting South Pole and Paco jeans and Aniche and Sean John. Like I always had like the sets or whatever, and I'd always have new clothes. But my mom was always telling me like, "Hey, you don't just get to hoard things; you have to give things away." So I was always used to having clothes and then having to give away clothes. And my parents were always felt like they were always put together. My dad's a cop. My mom was a realtor, so they always just had nice clothing. So it went from that to going into shoes and like I really want these new shoes, and I'm circling stuff in the East Bay magazine, and
Yeah.
I'm taking it to my mom and dad and saying, hey, this is what I want. They're like, I can tell you right now, you're not getting those Iversons. Like that was just like kind of motivated me to go out and do my own thing. So then I ended up getting my own job, and that's when like I just like fell in love with like the shoes, the clothes, the hats, the everything that I was wearing. And ever since then, man, it's just been something that's been in me. It gets me excited. I'm always smiling, talking about clothes. Like it's a passion of mine.
Is it just streetwear that you are interested in? Like I know his garments is a streetwear brand, or are there other aspects of the fashion world that like you that appeal to you? Like like whether it's like high fashion, formal wear, anything like that?
I want to get it there. Like I always tell myself,
Wow. Okay.
I never wanted it to be like I just sell T-shirts. I just sell, but I know that's like a rite of passage. Like in order, especially in fashion, if you look at people like Virgil Abloh, people like Kanye West, people like Jerry Lorenzo, Luigi, like they start with a T-shirt to get introduced into it. And most of these people, that's all they did. Like they don't have a full 9 to 5 job. Like they went all in, put all their chips in. So I would love to go into like, high fashion where I'm like in Saks Fifth, where like garments are like $300-400, and I'm dealing with different fabrics and different wools and linens, and like I want to get into all that, but I know it's a process and it takes time. So his garments is me introducing it into the world for me to go to a much bigger level than it is right now.
Okay. So what's the elevator pitch with his garments so that people have a better understanding of what it is, what the feelings are, what the fabric of the pitch is?
Absolutely. So his garments is basically about the story. If you have not heard, I'm taking Bible stories and I'm putting them on clothes because I'm a person that had to learn through pictures, and graphics are something that always catch my eye with clothing. So in 2022, I started watching The Chosen, and I stumbled upon this episode about this woman who had the issue of blood. Again, I've grown up in my faith, but like, it just never like really like resonated with me, and it wasn't personified until I started watching The Chosen. Chosen really got me opening up my Bible more and feeling like, there's a lot of really cool stories that people need to know about, and I need to do something about it, like get people curious enough to open up their Bibles. So the story is about a woman who had the issue of blood for 12 years. She ends up hearing about this guy named Jesus who's healing everybody. And she was like, man, I've been having this issue. Nobody can help me. I've spent all my money. If I can just get him in front of me, I know I'd be healed. So her faith was like pushing her to do that. So much so that she pushed through a crowd and couldn't even get to Jesus. She had to crawl to Jesus, which goes back to being like humble and humility, and touched his garment and got healed. And I just think that's a big testament to like what I'm trying to do with his garments is like, I want to spark conversations. I want to get people curious enough to say like, hey, what is that? Because I have been in the other industry where like I'm wearing Off-White or I'm wearing like an underground brand and people are like, is that your brand? I'm like, oh no, this is somebody else's brand. Like, oh, is that like, those jeans are cool. Like, are those yours? I'm like, nah, this is somebody else's. So basically I'm taking stories from the Bible that I think are like, I don't want to say worthwhile, but like they bring people to faith to see like who God truly is, and put them on clothing and get people excited about it. Like Jerry Lorenzo did Fear of God. He always said it wasn't a Christian brand. I can respect that for Jerry, but I feel like if you go in partnership with God, you can go much further. So I would like to supersede that.
I think I mean, in so many ways, there's things I want to be able to take away from like what you're talking about with it in his garments. It seems like your your touch on the fashion world is purely from like your faith. And there's a scripture in the Bible that you are supposed to go ye into the world and preach the gospel. And there's the reason why I say that is like there is like some people that have a stance or a belief that you shouldn't try to commercialize or have commerce surrounded around faith. And obviously like you're pursuing it. So like what's your take when have you ever ran into anybody, like challenging you on that,
Yeah.
or having like a perspective on that and saying like, like this kind of seems like you're
Like selling,
capitalizing on
you're
something
selling
that is
chickens in the
sacred?
synagogue. Like Jesus will be flipping tables, like you're over here putting merch and you're selling it, but really it's like, I'll give you an example. Like I came to church, and when I had left the church, I came back and I was talking to the pastor and I was like, you know what? I would love to make merch for the church. I would love to do like, it's my passion for fashion, but like I want it to be for God. And he was like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Like, yeah, maybe one day. Right. And then we're fast forwarding now, and I'm about to do a pop up. My first pop up was actually at the old church headquarters, and I'm selling a shirt about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and I'm selling a shirt about Noah's Ark. And be able to spark conversations about faith and fashion is way bigger than a dollar. I think the biggest thing is like I get people to be curious enough to have a conversation, and most people that wear my stuff, they're not faith-based. They're like, oh, that was just a cool graphic. But then as they continue to become a part of the journey and they become a part of the lifestyle of the brand, they'll get curious enough to go like, hey, what is his garments? And I have that mission statement everywhere.
Right. So you started it out for those dads that are listening to this that maybe want to be like you and want to start out with just a t-shirt. They're just as much into fashion as yourself. What's a single tip that you can give them is like, if you want to start a t-shirt brand, you need to do what?
You got to find people in your city that are doing it already. And what I mean by that is the brand that I'm a part of. There's a thing called Ash and Friends. So there's this guy named Brandon, and he put together a whole bunch of different streetwear people that basically sell Christian clothing, and made like a full on like pop up event. So he did it. I want to say I can't remember how long ago it was, but I was while I was doing Vibes. I actually got off work at Vibes, went over to him, and he was doing it on a major scale. But I would go to support him and just see what he was doing and just kind of understand like his vision and why he was doing what he was doing. And then he was like, hey, don't you have a brand? Are you going to get in here? I was like, yeah, next one. I promise I'll be in here. Comes up again, another pop up. I'm going there and I'm supporting all these other Christian brands. He was like, bro, when are you going to do your stuff? And I'm wearing my stuff. Like I have like a garment and I'm like, man, like I got to find the time. And one of the guys told me, hey, stop talking about it and just do it. And it kind of like challenged me. It was like a taken back, like, okay, well, I have the resources, I have the support, I have people that are doing it. I just need to go. I just need to dive into it. I can't keep on giving excuses on why I can't get this out there. So if I'm going to give you one piece of advice, is find the person who's doing it and follow their blueprint. They love to give advice, especially people that are doing it on a high level, way bigger than you. They love to go back to like when you're just in that like embryo stage before you get into like that next step. So just find the people that are doing what you want to do and ask them questions.
The humbling nature of entrepreneurship. And every time when you think about like entrepreneurship, or the dream you have of running your own business or pursuing your own dreams, and like so much of you is at the forefront of that. And I think that what you've just articulated, and not only that, what the expression of your brand is that I take away from it, is it's so much grounded in as much the faith, but like with a prism of humility. And you have to find a way to in order for you to grow, you have to humble yourself. And I think that in so much of, whether it's in the Christian faith or outside of it, if you're just in the world and just pursuing a business, like, you have to seek out knowledge. You have to ask questions. You have to acknowledge that, hey, I don't have all the answers. I don't know how to do this. I need to ask people. And that requires you to humble yourself and like, excuse me, sir, I love what you're doing. I'd love to pick your brain about how you got this started and how you got this going. I think having a humble and a humble approach in anything
Correct.
is going to be much more of a pathway to success than a know-it-all. As simple as that sounds, but like
Yeah. Yeah.
you run into that so often, where there's people that are just afraid to ask questions. And I just appreciate you for being able to, say that and express that you did that. And ultimately to where somebody provided you a challenge because they saw something in you and they were like, okay, let's see what you got. Like, what's taking you so long? Like, you have no
Mm-hmm.
excuse. And that, I think, is the progress. I don't know if you probably still would have done it or anything like that, but it sounds like that was a huge aspect in you getting started with this. And like, now the wheels are just going, and
Growing.
so
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
Yeah, man. It's just I'll just say that that's with anything. Like when I was in sales and been in sales, I just find whoever the top person is and follow what they do. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can put your own little spin to it. But it's best to always ask those questions first. Kobe did it. Every great that you've heard of has come up under someone. There's no one that just figures it out on their own. There's literally nothing new under the sun.
Yeah. Well, now, I mean, we've talked so much about his garments, but now, we haven't really ever touched on the three little ones that are at home that are a huge motivation for this. Your wife too, as well, which is a huge motivation for this.
Absolutely.
So you just had Nation, right? Like
Yes.
that's your youngest boy. How old is Nation
Hmm.
now?
Nation's 3 months now.
3 months old. Let's hear it for the 3 month old. Lovely, lovely. So this your oldest is
5 turning 6 in October. That's my
right. So
daughter, Nova
Nova
Ray.
is gonna be 6.
Hmm.
Max is 4.
Hmm.
And Nation is 3 months.
3 months. Yep. In the thick of it.
How do they see fashion? Because like now that seeing you do all this, like what's their take on fashion?
Uh, my daughter loves dressing up. We got this, it's like a treasure chest of all these different like dresses that she can wear or costumes that she can wear. I did the same thing with my son, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. Like they love coming down in outfits, but they also like when we get them new clothes, try them on, like do like a fashion show, like for us. And it's like so crazy because like as a kid, like I don't think I did that with my parents. Like, hey, go try on your clothes, come down, all right, go take them off, go do another one. But like they do a full on fashion show. So I just think it's cool to bring the kids into my world because I love clothes. Me and my wife love clothes. And then now having a little son at 3 months, them going and choosing out his outfits in the morning.
Oh,
Like,
that's
it's a
so
cool
great.
thing, man.
That's awesome. What is something like when they see you pursuing all these things, like specifically now, like with his garments, had there been any cool moments where you've kind of, kids are a sponge, right? And like there's so many
Hmm.
lessons that you teach your kids, but you don't even probably realize that you teach them just with your daily actions and what you're doing and your intention in your own life. Have there been any cool moments where you've been able to take away, like even though you're still in the beginnings of this journey, you're like, wow, like I'm making an impact on my kids because of, this moment or because they said this.
They said, "Why can't I go to the pop up?" And I was like, "How do they even know like what a pop up is?" Or because it was my second pop up, so I did the first one. It was successful. They were there. They saw it. They were like talking to people, and they were like, I was telling them like, "Hey, go get the change for this." So they were understanding like, "Hey, like Daddy's making money, and the money is for like Target and toys." Okay, they get that. Now, my son has gone with me to drop off packages at UPS and USPS. And I think that's so cool because he'll always ask, like, Daddy, when can we go drop off packages? And that gives me like that motivation, like, hey, I got to get
Mm.
out here and start talking about his garments more because that was something that was special to him to be able to hold a carry of all these different packages to go take it up to the counter and the people interacting with them. And I just thought that was such a cool experience because I've never had to do that before. I've never thought about, hey, let me take my son with me to go drop off these packages, or let me show my daughter how to click and print the labels. Like that's something I've never done before.
Do they actually print out the labels? Do they actually like operate like a little bit into the business? Because it
No,
sounds like you
there's
do.
no child labor going on right here. Just a click of a
Oh yeah,
button.
I don't want to get you caught up. I don't want you to get you caught up. Like have somebody in Nevada coming after you because of that. But like, it seems like that. Like, but there's like, I think that it. I mean, anytime that I could, whatever my parents were doing, I was always trying to be like side by side with them. I know with my own kids and with Cohen specifically, like he loves it when he's able to work side by side with me on stuff. Like there's an eagerness to be a part of your life and in whatever way possible. And I think that it's a really healthy way when they work side by side with you in your business. And like I'm saying work with like quotations, of course, but um like it just seems like what that teaches them, like you're saying, like, oh, like the pop-up aspect of it, like they know what a pop-up is, they also
Mhm.
know the purpose of it, they also
Right.
know the point of it, and who knows what that turns into for them later on in life. And it seemingly like you didn't necessarily sit them down, give them a lecture about money, a lecture about
No.
business, you just were doing it.
Hmm.
And now you're seeing how they're like, oh yeah, like you do this and this happens and then this happens. And it just
Hmm.
seems like that's something that kind of is like natural. Is that something that you kind of agree with? Like you see like kind of the similar things?
Yeah, I think just you know, being in the atmosphere, like being a sponge. Like I was always like that. Like with my parents, like parents didn't tell me like, hey, you have to dress this way, you have to do this, you have to do that. It was just natural to know that, hey, when I got new clothes, it was time to give clothes away. Or, hey, make sure that you look presentable. Your first impressions, you only get one of them. Like that was something that I would hear, or be a leader and not a follower. Like, okay, like I get it. But then over time, you're like, no, I just naturally became a leader because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you'd be surprised at just how much those words, those moments, those interactions, whether directly or passively, really you can hold on to throughout the course of your life. And I know like your kids being able to see you pursuing all of these things, like I know that it's just they're gonna turn into little like rock
Yeah,
stars
entrepreneurs.
themselves and have their own businesses. Do you ever hear them talking about like their own businesses or their own ideas or anything
my
like that?
my daughter wanted to be like a babysitter. She wanted to like run like this big babysitting thing. It was so crazy. The other day they had the chocolates. You remember the chocolates that we used to be able to sell for like $1, like the chocolate
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
bars?
yeah,
So I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, this is my opportunity to teach her about sales. Like, because I've been doing sales for like 13 years.
yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna let her figure it out on her own. I'm gonna wait until there's a perfect
Right.
time. So they're all special in their own individual ways, but I think they're starting to pick up like some
Yeah.
stuff, the fashion stuff for sure. And then like, hey, daddy, you're going to work. Like, why do you have to go to work? Those
Mm.
questions, especially, you want to take time to slow down to like, oh wow, my baby's like really thinking right now. I probably need to, stop what I'm doing and answer a question.
So how do you balance being dad and, the entrepreneur lifestyle, the work lifestyle? You have a full-time job,
Hmm.
you have two businesses. You're a husband. We briefly were talking about that, or like you're, a father of three. How are you what's your take on like how you balance it? Like what does balance look like for CJ?
I don't. It's kind of like when your feet hit the ground, or when you wake up in the morning, like how are you starting your day? And I know that
Mm,
sounds cliche. I'm so used to grabbing my phone, and I'm so used to like looking at like my social media, and just going right into that. And I decided to start getting God like just involved in my morning. It's like, hey, thanks for waking me up, Jesus. Like whatever is for me, please let it be for me. Like today. Amen. And then when I go out, I'm very good at segmenting my day. So like I know that I got to get the kids to school at 8:50, and then one of them gets out at like 11, the other one gets out at like 3. So I have this amount of time that I need to dedicate to work. And then before I leave the house, make sure I give my wife a kiss, make sure I give my son a kiss, like make sure I'm doing like, hey, me and you are still in this together. I know we got all this going on, but me and you are still in this together. And then going to work and doing what I need to do. And then when picking up my daughter at the end of the day, asking her how she's doing, and then trying to shut it off. Because obviously when you're working a 9 to 5, like sometimes it ends up being 24/7, and you got to just find that time to just say, hey, like, no, this is a boundary for me. Like when I'm at home with family, I'm at home with family. When daddy's watching the show, give daddy just this hour to watch the show. Like y'all can be in the mix, but like I'm watching this show. And then when it's time to do stuff fun, like just be intentional with like what we're gonna do as a family. It could be as simple as going and get ice cream. It could be as simple as, hey, let's go to a drive-in, or hey, let's just go on a walk just around the block, because we'll look up and they'll be 11 years old, 15 years old, and we'll be like, man, where'd the time go?
yeah. Yeah. No, I'm right there with you, like dealing with that now. It
Hmm.
does end up going really fast, and you have to really those first 5 years are really important. I think
Yeah.
it's really that's where it's cemented. Like your love is really cemented, your trust is really cemented, like as a parent, and like your bond is like that's where the foundation is. You still have to grow it, you still have to nurture it and serve it, but I think that those first 5 years are like really important. And being an entrepreneur and pursuing things, it's just great to hear like how you've just been so cognizant of like literally from the moment you wake up of a hierarchical structure of like what is important and how I need to approach the day. And I think that that bodes a lot of success, and like we're seeing that with just like the things that you're doing in your life and stuff. So but now that's what you do in the morning. So
Yeah.
at night, one of the questions I
Jesus.
like to ask all the entrepreneurs is when you're laying in bed, everybody's asleep, you're getting in bed now, you're sitting there looking up at the ceiling. and you're thinking about his garments. What is those thoughts that where's that consistently at this time? I know it's a new startup and like you're getting everything going, but what is that that keeps you up at night where you're looking at the ceiling and thinking about it, like what do I got to do?
I've always said that like my 20% is sometimes people's 100%, and I can get away with giving 20% at stuff. So a lot of the time when I'm up, I'm thinking about like, how do I take this to the next level? Like, what am I not doing? Like, I again, I have all this time with work and kids and stuff. Like, why am I trying to run the social media? I probably should outsource that to somebody that's a pro at social media. Why am I not going all 100% in on his garments? Like what's preventing me from doing that? Like
Mm,
I'm having those thoughts running in my head, and then I'm also thinking like, what's the point of all this? Like, because I remember when I first got my first like, the first day, the first drop 5/15. I remember it because it was just May 15th, and I'm just thinking like, I put the photo shoot together, I put these models together, I've done like the campaign, everything. Orders are just supposed to come. Like I'm supposed to have like a whole bunch of orders, and only ended up with like 13 orders that day. And I remember looking at my wife and I'm like, she was like, how you feeling? I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't feel defeated, but like, I just kind of expected more. And she was like, why are you doing this? And I was like, because I want people to open the Bible. And she was like, focus on that. And
mm,
just having a partner that is aware enough to let you know, like, hey, like, let's get in alignment. Because we both believe that God's the center of it all. Right. So, those are the thoughts that run through my head, and I know I need to do better. I'm one of my biggest critics, but that's what therapy's for, is to go and understand that, hey, you're doing the best you can with what you got. Um, but yeah, those thoughts run through my head because it's not just his garments, it's the medical device job. Then it's like, hey, when's the last time I took my wife on a date? Then it's
mm.
like, hey, have I taken the kid? Like, bro, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not. It's all the things,
Yeah,
and thinking about your, this business that's new in your mind, and you want it to do well. It's interesting the questions and the things that come up. But one of the things that I'm seeing common with a lot of the dads that I'm talking about is that question of like, am I doing enough? Am I? And that's something I think that's common with a lot of business leaders in general is like, there's this, I guess, like thought that is like, you're always running from, which
hmm
is like, you are not enough. You have failed. Because maybe it's because you're like, I got to make this work. I got to make this work. There's so much stuff
because if
I
I
got to
don't,
do.
what would that say about
Like,
me?
what does that say about me? What does that make me
hmm
feel like? What will people think of me? What will my wife, what will my kids think of me? All that pressure, it when you're even trying to get rest, it still is like, in your brain of like, how can I do this? 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 And it's just great to hear that, like, you find ways to like navigate all of those thoughts, and therapy is one a huge part of it. Your faith is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And the commonality of it is that you're not alone in that journey. That's everybody that like I've talked to literally is like, oh bro, like, yeah, that's me. So hopefully that gives you some peace of mind too. Like, cause
Yeah.
that's me
Every
too. Like,
time.
I'm always thinking the next step, next step, next step. Did I do enough today? Did I do enough today? Let me get up and just go do this. Let me go try to do this right. And it's like that constant cycle. Um, but just remembering to give yourself that grace that like you're doing everything you can, and you do the best you can the next day and then the day after that. But your wife, I think that is so beautiful that like she was able to kind of ground you in that, and
Oh
like
yeah.
what was the reason why you're doing this. And I think that that's an important aspect that entrepreneurs need to do, and even dads just in general. Like, you got to remember why you're doing this in the first place. Like, why did you become a dad? Why did you decide to pursue this venture? And
hmm
always remember that, because I think that that does also bring you some peace. Like, would you agree with
Absolutely.
that?
Absolutely. Because I think finding like choosing the right partner is like one of the most important decisions that you can make or break in your life. Because there's been times, especially as a salesperson, you think, you aren't your results, but your results are what drive and pay the bills. So having a partner that's been with me since working at In and Out Burger to now selling medical devices, like she's seen the great and she's seen the not so great parts of me. But I think the best part is that she's always remained like that consistent I can go to. I know that I'm going to get that encouragement. She's a stay at home
Mm.
mom. So like, obviously she's thinking a lot and trying to be the mom, and but also she knows that her husband's a provider, and like when I'm down, she knows how to just bring me up every single time. And if you don't have a partner like that, that's where you start getting in your head, and that's when you're not able to be at your best and at your highest. So me and her have that open communication. We started going to therapy like 3 years ago, separately, just individually. We stopped a while ago, but um, therapy was like a huge help for us because we understood that we need to speak those feelings out. And if like, hey, am I doing good as a mom, or am I doing good as a dad, or like, are we good? Like, are we doing good as kid? Like just having those conversations and having a partner that you can bounce those ideas off of and ground you is something that you really can't put a price tag on.
There's just so much humility that is coming from this family. Like that is
But
just, it's no wonder you have the success that you have, because it's just there, the willingness to be able to do that. And I think it's beautiful to see it in your family. But I think that, just as dads in general, whether you're with your partner, whether you're not with your partner, whether you're doing this all alone, whether you have a village that's also helping you, having an outside perspective on things is
yeah.
is I think so vital to your overall perspective, your courageousness, like where your courageousness can come from, because you're gonna have those highs and lows, as you mentioned, like like you did all this work, put in hours and hours of work getting everything ready for this launch, and you had X amount of sales, right? Like 13 sales, and that's for me, I'm thinking, I'm like, yo, that's dope, that's amazing. But like for you, you may have been expecting something more. I was like, oh, I expected like 50, I expected 100, I expected like, and I didn't get that. And you
Yeah.
start to get down on yourself. And everybody has those moments, and everybody has those metrics that they have preconceived in their head of the highs and the lows and what they expect and what they get, and then like how they interpret that. And like, and it's great to hear that like there's somebody that's in your corner that's providing you that kind of even kill. You're even going like out arbitrarily to be able to speak with somebody to gain some more grounding, gain some more perspective. I think that if there's anything that I hope that dads take away from you, on top of just like your willingness to just be an absolute force and take just everything down, and be an amazing dad at the same time, but that your humility and your willingness to humble yourself before your Lord, and humble yourself before your family, and just always seeking to be the better version of CJ, which is a better version of dad, which is a better version of husband, which is a better version of entrepreneur. So
Hmm.
I don't want to keep taking up too much of your time, but I really wanted to be able to say that to you. And I've known you for a long time, and you've just been
Appreciate that.
an absolutely amazing man, and that I've been inspired by for so long. And I root for you from afar, and always follow everything that you're doing. I'm just like, this guy just doesn't stop. Like, he's just a rock star. But I got to ask you one question before we go. The last question that we always ask all our dads is, why is it important for you to build your dream?
Oof. Because no one else is going to build it because they're so focused on theirs. So
Mm.
you can get in the habit of either watching somebody else do what you want to do, or you can start focused on your dream, like building your dream from the ground up. And I feel like as a dad, if you don't have a dream, you need to go back to your childhood and find out what used to make you excited, or whatever you're naturally good at. That's probably what you need to be leaning into. Whether you can do it 100% of the time, 50% of the time, you have to find that time for yourself to build your dream. Because again, everyone else is building their dream, so why aren't you building yours?
Everybody else is building their dream, so why aren't you building yours? CJ, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me, and to speak and share your story with so many other dads. This is the moment where people can kind of hear from you, like shout your businesses out, shout out everything like that, where people can reach out and learn a little bit more about his garments.
Absolutely. So his garments is at hisgarments.com. I've dropped now, I want to say 12 shirts, and I have a pop-up actually coming up. It's going to be a really big pop-up with over, I believe, 7, 8 different brands at the Church LV in Las Vegas, October 16th. They're going to start vending from 6, then they go into worship at 7, and then we got vending after that. It's about to be like 800 or 900 people there. So it's probably one of the biggest ones that I've done. So I'm super excited about that. I've been working on designs with a couple of designers and trying to find the right fabrics to source for it. Then I'm going to be selling some vintage tees that I've been sourcing. So I'm excited about that. And then I just got accepted to the Favored Flea, which is in LA, which I have been getting hit up like, hey, you need to check them out. You need to check them out. So I'm going to be packing the car up, driving out to LA and doing my first pop up outside of Las Vegas, which is exciting. So that will be after that Thursday. That Saturday is when I'll be in LA. So I'm basically knocking out 2 pop-ups in a week, which if you go back to saying like, hey, how you do it all, bro, just just go. Like you don't got a choice. Because
Don't think about it. Just do
somebody
it.
else is building their dream, they doing it. So it's like, why can't I? So
Exactly.
yeah, I'm on Instagram at hisgarments.lv. I'm on TikTok at his garments, and yeah, you can follow us, and you'll just see the most amazing type of clothing that you've ever seen. The best fabric, the best graphics. I have the best designers. I take what's in my head and give it to them, and we do a lot of back and forth texting, but then it comes out exactly the way that I want it. So I would just encourage you to support his garments, and support doesn't mean purchase. It could be just sharing a post. It could be liking something. It could be commenting. But most importantly, just continue to get the word of God out there. And then if you're ever in Vegas, go to Vibes DIY Studio, make a rug, paint a
Hey,
cause figure. I just got to throw that out there because we are in Las Vegas in Centennial Hill. So check out Vibes DIY Studio in Las Vegas.
beautiful. CJ, thank you so much. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of the After Bedtime Podcast. We are grateful for you guys taking the time to listen to these amazing dads, their dreams, and how they're balancing being dad at the same time. Stay tuned for the next episode where we go and we meet another great Black American dad.
Thank you, man. Thanks for listening.